Good morning, everyone. It's Monday, March 23rd, and I still have John chapter 9 ringing in my head, I guess. The words are still speaking to me. I love how Jesus turns the disciples' preconceived ideas and their own internal disability theology on its head in this encounter he has with the man born blind, begging on the street there. I love the way he loves this man and doesn't blame him for his circumstances. How many times do you and I find ourselves in need and in need of others' help, or recognize our own limitations and inability to do something? In this case, this man's inability to see and find meaningful employment in his culture and in his world. And so he is asking others for help and for compassion, and Jesus doesn't agree with the disciples' assumption that man somehow sinned, or his parents sinned, that he would be born blind. I mean, I can't even imagine the assumption that the man himself was defective or sinned or something, right? That he would have caused it. I mean, how can that even be? So to me, when I think about my own children or myself as a baby, we're innocent. We are not guilty of having done anything wrong, and we're beautiful. And so, but Jesus affirms that in John chapter 9, and affirms that not just for this man, but for all of us. It is the reason why the apostle writes this gospel in the first place, to let us know the character of God and God's love for us and our own dignity. And I love the way in this chapter that Jesus turns the whole idea of blindness into a positive thing, into a good thing. Often I only think of the negative aspects of my own limitations or my own inabilities, and Jesus reclaims this whole blindness for this man, and affirms that he's good. And I love that Jesus in verse 41 says, "If you were blind, you would not be guilty of sin. But now that you claim you can see, your guilt remains." In speaking, to the Pharisees who were disbelieving in him and who were challenging him and were unwilling to recognize their own internal blindness about who he really was, and the kind of people God was calling all of them to be together as a Jewish people, to affirm one another and to affirm the inherent dignity and worth of this man in particular, but of all of them and all of us, right? And so Jesus says, if you were blind, you would not be guilty of sin. And to me, that turns the whole concept of my own limitations and my own blindness into a very positive thing. That when I recognize that I don't see or know everything perfectly, even my own circumstances, and when I recognize in humility that I need God and I need the help of other good people to be all that God is calling me to be, I am recognizing my own blindness, and that is a good thing. I am without guilt of sin when I can affirm who I am and see the blessings of who I am. and see how God sees them. So I hope that today you can look at yourself the way Jesus looks at you, the way he saw very clearly this man born blind and was able to offer him not just physical healing, but spiritual and emotional healing as well. Offered him a revelation, an inner seeing, right? He opened the eyes of his heart more, not just his physical eyes. And I think we all could use that touch from God today. My prayer is that we know this touch from Christ, this love that opens our eyes and helps us to see that we are enough just as we are, and in the places in our lives and in ourselves where we're not quite all that we could be, that is also a blessing. And to deliver us from the presumption and the arrogance, the pride that would say that we're not blind and that we can see. Deliver us from that self-deception and help us each to see who we are today in God's eyes. Beloved children of God, capable of doing all the good works that God has called us to do. And in this challenging time where we are quarantined and physically kept apart, I pray that you, in your own place today, sing the words of the hymn that we would close our services with. Blessed be the tie that binds our hearts in Christian love. The fellowship of kindred minds is like that above. When we asunder part, it gives us inward pain, but we are still joined in heart and hope to meet again. God bless you today.